59,700 pounds of cocaine, 1,430 pounds of marijuana. Total value, $1.4 billion. The largest drug bust in U.S. Coast Guard history offloaded just 12 miles from Miami Beach. What America found floating in Caribbean waters changed the war on drugs forever. November 5, 2025, Port Everglades, Florida, 10 hours a.m. The USCGC James, a 418-foot national security cutter, pulled into port carrying more narcotics than any Coast Guard vessel in history. Mountains of cocaine stacked on the deck, enough drugs to kill 23 million people. The result of 27 separate interdictions across 5,000 miles of ocean, spanning 2 months of relentless operations, 10 ships from 3 nations working as one. The cartels thought the Caribbean was too vast to patrol. They were wrong. The operation began in June 2021. Joint Interagency Task Force South in Key West identified a surge in drug trafficking. Speedboats departing from Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, racing through Caribbean waters toward Florida, each boat carrying 500 to 2,000 kilograms of pure cocaine. Street value between $15 million and $60 million per vessel. Intelligence painted a disturbing picture. Cartel operations had accelerated during the pandemic. Law enforcement resources stretched thin, borders partially closed. Smugglers exploited the chaos, moved record quantities of cocaine toward American shores. The cartels believed they'd found a golden window, a period where surveillance decreased while demand increased. They miscalculated badly. U.S. Southern Command and Coast Guard leadership developed a coordinated response. Operation involved unprecedented multinational cooperation. American cutters, Navy littoral combat ships, Dutch patrol vessels, Canadian coastal defense ships, all working under unified command structure. The mission was clear: shut down the Caribbean drug corridor, intercept every vessel, seize every kilogram. The United States marshaled resources on a scale not seen since the Panama invasion. What's your weapon of choice for maritime interdiction? Type A for Coast Guard cutters. Type B for Navy littoral combat ships. The USCGC James departed Charleston, South Carolina in early June. Crew of 148 officers and enlisted personnel, armed with rigid hull inflatable boats, MH-65 Dolphin helicopters, advanced radar systems capable of detecting small vessels at 50 miles. The James represented the Coast Guard's most capable platform, purpose-built for long-range interdiction missions, could operate independently for 90 days, carry enough fuel to patrol 12,000 nautical miles. This wasn't a coastal patrol boat. This was a warship designed to dominate ocean spaces. The James would serve as flagship for the entire operation, coordinating actions of multiple vessels across thousands of square miles. USCGC Mohawk, a 270-foot medium-endurance cutter from Key West, joined the operation, followed by USCGC Dauntless from Pensacola, USCGC Thetis from Key West, USCGC Confidence from Port Canaveral. 5 Coast Guard cutters working in coordinated patrol zones, but the force didn't stop there. Navy contributed 3 Freedom-class littoral combat ships, USS Wichita, USS Sioux City, USS Billings, each measuring 378 feet, armed with CRAM close-in weapon systems, MH-60 Seahawk helicopters, advanced surface search radar. These ships brought firepower and speed, capable of 47 knots, could run down any speedboat. The Dutch sent HNLMS Holland, a 356-foot offshore patrol vessel. Canada deployed HMCS Shawinigan, a 181-foot coastal defense vessel. 10 warships total, the largest anti-drug naval force assembled in 2 decades. The tactical approach combined technology and persistence. P-3. Orion maritime patrol aircraft flew constant surveillance missions. monitored thousands of square miles daily. Their radar could detect small fiberglass boats through darkness and weather. Once detected, aircraft tracked targets, fed coordinates to surface vessels. Coast Guard cutters positioned themselves along known smuggling routes, created a net spanning from Colombian waters to the Florida Straits. Smugglers had nowhere to hide. The ocean that once seemed limitless became a trap. Every departure from South American coasts was monitored, every movement tracked, every destination predicted. The first interdiction occurred June 14th at 2:37 a.m. P-3 detected a go-fast boat 180 miles east of Nicaragua, traveling at 45 knots northbound. The aircraft illuminated the target with searchlights, ordered the vessel to stop. The smugglers dumped cargo, accelerated to maximum speed, attempting to outrun pursuit. USS Sioux City launched its MH-60 helicopter. The helicopter pursued at 160 knots. Impossible for the speedboat to escape. Coast Guard boarding team fast roped onto the fleeing vessel, secured 5 smugglers, recovered 200 kilograms of cocaine from the water. Total time from detection to capture: 47 minutes. The operation demonstrated perfect coordination between air and surface assets. Over the following weeks, interdictions accelerated. June 18th, 3 boats intercepted simultaneously, 1 by USCGC James, 2 by Dutch HNLMS Holland, combined haul of 3,800 kilograms. June 22nd, USS Wichita stopped a converted fishing vessel carrying 2,400 kilograms, hidden in false compartments below deck. June 27th, USCGC Mohawk interdicted 2 speedboats traveling in tandem. 2,900 kilograms seized. The pattern was relentless. Every few days brought new interdictions, new seizures. The cartels kept sending boats. American forces kept stopping them. If you're enjoying this deep dive into modern warfare, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. The smugglers employed various tactics. Some boats operated in darkness, no lights, no radio, just GPS coordinates programmed into handheld devices. Others disguised themselves as fishing vessels, complete with nets and equipment. Only infrared cameras revealed the truth. Engine heat signatures too powerful for fishing boats. Hulls riding too high in the water. Dead giveaways to trained observers. Some smugglers use decoy vessels. Send 3 boats. 1 carries drugs. 2 carry nothing. Hoping to overwhelm surveillance. Force authorities to choose which to pursue. The tactic failed. P-3 aircraft tracked all 3. Directed multiple cutters. All vessels intercepted. Drugs seized. Crews arrested. The most sophisticated operation occurred July 8th. Intelligence indicated a large shipment departing from Ecuador. Multiple vessels involved. Estimated 6,000 kilograms total. The largest single operation in months. USCGC. James positioned itself 400 miles west of Colombia, along the predicted route. At 11:23 p.m., radar detected 4 contacts, speedboats traveling in loose formation, range 38 miles. The James launched its MH-65 helicopter, illuminated the targets, ordered them to heave to. The smugglers scattered, maximum throttle, 4 different vectors. The James called for support. USS Billings responded. Range 70 miles, capable of 47 knots. The Navy ship raced to intercept. Meanwhile, the James pursued the nearest target, its own speed limited to 28 knots. But the helicopter provided the edge, stayed overhead, directed the cutter. The smugglers couldn't escape what they couldn't see. Over 3 hours, all 4 boats were captured. USCGC James took 2. USS Billings intercepted 1. The 4th ran out of fuel attempting to flee. Dead in the water when Coast Guard boarding team arrived. Total seizure from the operation: 5,400 kilograms of cocaine. 15 smugglers arrested. The cartels lost $162 million in product, plus 4 expensive boats, plus crew that would face 20-year sentences. The cost-benefit analysis of smuggling had fundamentally shifted. Don't miss what comes next. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an analysis like this. Boarding procedures followed strict protocols. Once a vessel was stopped, Coast Guard law enforcement detachments conducted the intercept. Teams of 6 trained personnel, armed with M4 carbines, body armor, communications gear. They approached in rigid hull inflatable boats, fast, maneuverable, capable of 45 knots. The RHIBs would come alongside the smuggling vessel. Team members would board, secure the crew, search for contraband. The process was dangerous. Smugglers sometimes carried weapons. Others attempted to sink their boats, destroy evidence. Every boarding carried risk. But Coast Guard crews trained extensively. Thousands of practice runs. Muscle memory took over in real operations. The seized drugs followed a careful chain of custody. Once aboard the Coast Guard cutter, cocaine was weighed, documented, photographed, placed in evidence bags, signed and sealed by multiple witnesses. The evidence would later support prosecutions. Under U.S. law, smugglers caught in international waters could be tried in American courts, if their vessel was stateless, or if their home country granted permission. Most did. Colombia, Panama, and Ecuador all cooperated fully. Extradited suspects provided evidence, testified in trials. The international cooperation proved crucial. Without it, smugglers caught in international waters might go free. Legal loopholes closed through diplomatic agreements. By late July, the operation had seized over 40,000 pounds of cocaine. But intelligence indicated more was coming. The summer smuggling season hadn't peaked. August typically saw maximum traffic, calm seas, long days, ideal conditions for go-fast boats. The task force prepared for the surge. Additional patrol aircraft deployed. More ships rotated into the operation area. The net tightened further. Between July 25th and August 4th, 7 more interdictions occurred, each representing a major cartel operation disrupted, each removing millions in product from the supply chain. The cumulative impact was devastating to trafficking organizations. The math told the story. 27 interdictions over 2 months, average seizure of 2,200 pounds per interdiction, success rate approaching 100%. Every smuggling vessel the task force detected was stopped. No boats slipped through. The Caribbean corridor had become impassable. Cartels responded by attempting Pacific routes. But Coast Guard 11th District in California ran similar operations there. The squeeze was comprehensive. Support the channel by giving this video a thumbs up if you found it valuable. The human cost of the drug trade became visible through the operation. Many smugglers were young men from impoverished coastal communities, paid $5,000 to $10,000 per run, a fortune in their local economies, but facing 20-year federal sentences if caught. The cartels exploited poverty, recruited disposable crews. If a boat was intercepted, they simply hired new smugglers, sent another boat. The supply of desperate people seemed endless. This reality complicated enforcement. Arresting low-level smugglers didn't disrupt cartel leadership. The organizations adapted, accepted losses as cost of doing business. Only by seizing massive quantities of product could authorities impact cartel finances. The investigation extended beyond interdictions. DEA agents traced financial networks, identified money laundering operations. FBI tracked communications. NSA monitored satellite phones used by smugglers. The interdictions generated intelligence. Smugglers cooperated when facing long sentences, provided names, locations, methods. Each arrest built a broader picture of cartel operations, The information fed back into targeting, improved future interdiction operations, created a virtuous cycle of enforcement and intelligence. Colombian cartels felt the pressure most acutely. The Clan del Golfo organization had dominated Caribbean smuggling for years. Their operations depended on steady flow of product to international markets. The interdiction campaign disrupted their timeline. Cocaine sat in warehouses, unable to move north. Storage costs mounted. Distributors in the United States complained about shortages. Prices increased. Purity decreased. The economic pressure rippled through the organization. Internal disputes emerged. Accusations of incompetence. The strain showed in increased violence within Colombia. Rival groups attempted to exploit weakness. Venezuelan involvement complicated matters. Intelligence indicated some smuggling boats departed from Venezuelan ports, under protection of corrupt military officers. The Maduro regime profited from drug trafficking, provided safe harbor to cartels, allowed use of airstrips and ports, in exchange for cash that kept the regime afloat. Interdicting these boats required diplomatic care. Venezuela wasn't a partner, didn't cooperate with U.S. law enforcement. Boats caught in international waters could be seized. But Venezuelan territorial waters remained off limits. This created a safe zone for smugglers, until they ventured into international waters, where American ships waited. What would you have done when discovering state-sponsored drug trafficking? Comment your answer below. The environmental impact of seizures was substantial. Cocaine dumped at sea contaminated water, killed marine life. Some smugglers used biodegradable bags, others used plastic bales that floated for years. Coast Guard crews recovered what they could, but thousands of kilograms went into the ocean. Environmental organizations criticized this collateral damage, argued for different enforcement methods. The Coast Guard responded that the drugs would have caused far greater harm if they'd reached American streets. The debate continued. No perfect solution existed. Enforcement created ecological problems. Non-enforcement allowed drugs to devastate communities. Technology played decisive roles. The radar systems aboard Coast Guard cutters used X-band frequencies, excellent for detecting small targets in high seas, combined with infrared cameras, automated tracking systems, electronic chart displays. Officers commanded unprecedented situational awareness. They could see everything within 50 miles, track multiple contacts simultaneously, predict intercept courses with computer assistance. This technology gave American forces an overwhelming advantage. Smugglers operated with basic GPS and radios. They were outmatched in every dimension: detection, pursuit, interdiction. The technological gap ensured success. The diplomatic coordination proved as important as hardware. Each nation contributed according to capabilities. Dutch ships brought European expertise in Caribbean operations, dating back centuries. Canadian vessels provided northern perspectives. Different training, different tactics, all enhanced the operation. Regular coordination meetings via secure video, shared intelligence in real time, unified command structure where everyone knew their role. This level of cooperation represented the gold standard for multinational operations, a model for future joint efforts against transnational crime. The August 5th offload ceremony attracted significant attention. Media outlets covered the event. Cameras captured mountains of cocaine stacked on the pier, each bale tagged, numbered, evidence of the operation's success. Vice Admiral Stephen Poulin, Commander Atlantic Area, addressed assembled personnel. This represents the dedication and professionalism of Coast Guard men and women, who patrol in dangerous conditions, far from home, to protect American communities from the scourge of drugs. Canadian and Dutch officials also spoke, emphasized the partnership, the shared commitment to disrupting criminal organizations. This kind of detailed tactical breakdown takes hours to research. Subscribe to help us keep making them. The drugs would be destroyed after legal proceedings concluded, burned in specialized facilities, reduced to ash. The $1.4 billion in street value eliminated permanently. But the impact extended beyond the cocaine itself. 27 smuggling crews arrested, 93 individuals facing federal charges, prison sentences ranging from 10 to 30 years. The boats seized represented $8.5 million in cartel assets. Gone. The operational setback forced cartels to reassess Caribbean routes, find new methods, train new crews, purchase new equipment. Every aspect required time and money, resources diverted from other operations. The long-term strategic impact emerged over following months. Cocaine prices in Florida increased 30% by October 2021. Supply constraints rippled through distribution networks. Smaller dealers couldn't source product. Larger organizations hoarded what they had. The squeeze extended to Europe, where Caribbean-routed cocaine supplied major markets. Prices there rose even more dramatically. The interdiction campaign had achieved its strategic objective: disrupted supply chains, increased costs, reduced availability, all without firing a shot in anger. Pure law enforcement, methodical, professional, effective. Critics questioned the approach, argued interdiction just displaced smuggling, forced cartels to find new routes. The balloon effect: squeeze one area, bulge appears elsewhere. There was truth to this critique. Pacific routes did see increased traffic. Land routes through Central America expanded. The cartels adapted, but adaptation cost time and money. The new routes were less efficient, more expensive, more risky. The squeeze still applied pressure, reduced overall flow. That reduction saved lives, prevented overdoses, justified the effort. The operational lessons influenced future Coast Guard planning, proved the value of sustained presence. Multiple ships working coordinated patrol zones, international partnerships, intelligence sharing. The formula worked, would be replicated in future operations. The USCGC James would go on to conduct multiple record-breaking interdiction operations, become the most successful drug interdiction platform in Coast Guard history. Her crew earned numerous commendations, unit citations, individual awards, recognition for sustained excellence under demanding conditions. Was this operation a triumph of international cooperation or just a temporary disruption? Leave your thoughts in the comments. The $1.4 billion offload represented more than statistics. It symbolized American commitment to combating transnational crime. The dedication of Coast Guard personnel who spent months at sea, away from families, operating in harsh conditions, conducting dangerous boardings. Their sacrifice protected communities, saved lives, disrupted criminal organizations that trafficked in death. The men and women aboard those 10 ships proved that no ocean was too vast, no smuggler too clever, no criminal organization beyond reach. When allied nations unified under common purpose, applied technology and training, maintained presence and pressure, they prevailed. The cartels learned expensive lessons. The Caribbean wasn't open water anymore. It was patrolled space, monitored constantly, interdicted effectively. The risk-reward calculation changed. Smugglers demanded higher pay. Boat owners hesitated to risk expensive vessels. Cartel leadership faced uncomfortable questions about losses. The mathematics of trafficking shifted against them. In business terms, the American operation degraded their profit margins, increased operational costs, reduced market share. These pressures persisted, forcing adaptation and evolution. But every adaptation created new vulnerabilities, new opportunities for enforcement. The chess game continued. with advantage to those who controlled the seas. For communities across the United States, the operation represented hope, evidence that authorities hadn't surrendered, were fighting back against the drug epidemic, taking the fight to smugglers, intercepting poison before it reached streets. The 59,700 pounds of cocaine seized would have become millions of doses, sold in cities and towns, destroyed lives, fueled addiction. Instead, it became evidence. Then, ash, removed permanently from circulation. That outcome justified the resources invested, the risks taken, the international cooperation required. If you made it this far, you're the core of our community. What surprised you most about this operation? How effective do you think maritime interdiction is against drug trafficking? Should more resources go into international cooperation? Your engagement directly shapes what we cover next. Drop a comment and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into Coast Guard operations and maritime security. The war on drugs continues. The Caribbean corridor remains contested space. But August 5, 2021 proved that commitment, technology, and international partnership can achieve remarkable results. The Coast Guard's record-breaking offload demonstrated that America and its allies control the seas, and when they act in concert, with clear objectives and adequate resources, they protect their citizens and disrupt those who profit from human suffering.